So let me ask you a question. Regardless of the fact that you are a student who is trying to find their part-time job, or you are a fresh graduate who is looking forward to join their first job, or perhaps you're a professional who is moving from one job to the other, what is that one single thing which all these people need in order to show their skills and capabilities to their potential employers? Yeah, you got that right. It's their CV. So we all need a well-written CV in this time and age to not only to stand out from the others, but also to make sure that we are able to demonstrate our skills and capabilities to our potential employer so that they have a really good picture of us by just going through our CV. And if you would like to learn more about how to take your CV from this level to this level, stay tuned, because in today's video I'm going to give you 5 tips which would help you to make your CV from an average level of CV to an excellent level of CV. So stay tuned. Hello everybody, this is Dr. Samreen. I'm a full-time academic in the UK, and recently I've started this YouTube channel where I'm making videos to make your personal and professional life more happy and productive. So if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do consider subscribing. Alright, so before we start talking about those tips which can really help you to make your CV stand out from the crowd, let's talk about 2 terms which are most often are used at the same time or alternatively. And these 2 terms are CV and resume. And many times people are confused when one term is used over the other or vice versa, because they don't know which one is which, and also when to use CV and when to use a resume. So let me just very quickly clarify the difference between the 2. So the word CV is an abbreviation of a Latin word called curriculum vitae. And that word in a literal sense means course of your life. Now, if you really look at the word, it literally tells you that it's a comprehensive story of your life, who you are, what you have done in your life, and so on and so forth. So the CV is most of the times a longer word document which kind of encapsulates every single thing you have done. On the other hand, a resume is a French word which literally means summary or an abstract. Now, you can tell from the meaning of this word that resume is a summarized version of the CV. So for example, in some situations, you will be asked to submit a CV. And what does that mean? That you're asked to submit a comprehensive story of your life, which includes every single thing you have done in your life. On the other hand, if you have asked to submit a resume, that means it's a more summarized, more abstract version of what you have done so far. I hope that clarifies any ambiguity you may have in your mind regarding these 2 terms. Now let's talk about those tips which can really help us to improve our CV. First of all, I would talk about the things which are a must-have in a CV and is a basic requirement. To begin with, your career objective. So within your career objective, you really need to show what are you really aspiring to do and what are you really aiming in that job. And also one thing is very important, don't just copy and paste your career objective from one CV to the other when you're applying in different positions. Because always try to tailor your career objectives based on the company and the job requirement. So for example, if you're starting out, your career objective could be on the lines of that you would like to get an opportunity to use your current skills, to use your potential, to help the company to grow their business. But that's a very basic kind of career objective. You can tailor it as per your own need. So what you really need to remember that within your career objective, you really need to make sure that you are able to reflect who you are and what you're really meaning to get out of that job. And so it's very important to look at the company you're applying for, the role you're applying for, and kind of tailor your career objective accordingly. Number 2 is your employment history. As the name suggests, within your employment history, you'll talk about basically anywhere you have worked before and what were your roles all about. The number 3 must have in a CV, of course, is your education background. And within this section, you would write about your qualifications, what you have done so far, and how that has really helped you to achieve your goals so far. 4th must have is your contact details, how your potential employers can get in touch with you, your email address, perhaps your phone number. I would also recommend you to include your LinkedIn profile, and this is why it's very important for you to have a good, strong LinkedIn profile which can be used, because these days what happens is that many employers would also look for your professional profiles as well to make sure that they understand you better even before inviting you for the interview. And the 5th thing, which is not always a requirement, or perhaps it's not always required, but many times people include a photograph of themselves as well. Now, I know there are diverse views on that. Some people would like to have the photo on their CV, some won't. Personally, I have never put a photograph on my CV because also, if you have your LinkedIn profile, that has your photograph on it. But if you would like to, you can always add a photograph as well on your CV. All right, so far I've spoken about the must-haves in your CVs, that a CV is incomplete without. Now, let's look at some additional things which can really help your CV to stand out from the others. Number one, you can start with your career summary. So, for example, if you have been working for a while, you would have worked in different roles in different organizations. And it's always good sometimes to just capture all those different things in a very quick couple of sentences summary to show your employer that this is what you have done so far and what you are capable of doing. The second thing on my list, which can really help you to differentiate yourself from others, is to include a job description in your CV. Now, you might be thinking, what does that even mean? So when you're applying for a job, in a job advert or LinkedIn or any other advertisement where you've found your dream job, there's always a job description which tells you what would you be supposed to be doing. And in that job description, you would always see sections as in must-haves in this job role, additional requirements, and perhaps a complementary or something which we would appreciate if a candidate has. But if you don't have those skills, it's okay as well. So if you include some of the skills which you already have found in the job description in your CV, it really helps the employer to understand you better, and also it helps them to realize that you are the best fit for their job. And again, as I've been saying already, don't copy and paste. Tailor it for every single employer you're applying these jobs for. Number 3 on my list is you should also mention any kind of training courses you may have done during your previous job or during also your university time, because that really again helps the employer to understand that you are not only knowledgeable but you also have the right skills. Additionally to training, always list your skills as well. For example, your communication skills, your computer skills, your language skills. All these things really add to your CV and make it even stronger. And finally, don't forget to add references. And most of the times, I would suggest that you should have references from the people, not your friends and family. You shouldn't have a reference from your best friend saying you're the best person and you should definitely get a job. It shouldn't be like that. It should be from somebody who knows you in a professional capacity. And sometimes also companies have the requirement. They would ask you that what kind of people they're looking for to have as a reference in your CV. So you can also follow that guideline. Before I move on to sharing the final tips for those extra brownie points for your CV, one thing I would like to mention here, which is extremely important. Don't make your CV long just for the sake of it. Trust me, that's the most annoying thing and irritating thing for the employers when they read these pages and pages of CV, and they really have to identify or find the relevant skills which are appropriate for the job which is advertised. So make sure you only include those training courses which are relevant to the job you've applied, only those skills which would help you to perform that job, and do not include anything which is not really necessary for that particular role. And finally, for those extra brownie points. So all the information you have provided so far, present them chronologically. Rather than just presenting a scattered information, present it as in, I did this in 2008, 9, 10, 12, 14, and so on and so forth. Many times, you can also start from recent and then go backwards. It's entirely up to you. But a systematic information and the way you present it makes a massive difference on the reader and the experience. Secondly, don't forget to mention any academic distinction, any awards you may have received in your jobs, in your trainings, kind of employee demand, any kind of achievements you may have had during your student life and which is relevant to this course, any leadership roles you may have had which might be relevant to your role. And also don't forget to mention if you have any other skills, for example, your team building skills, or working with people, or interpersonal skills, because research has shown us that these days companies prefer people with transferable skills a lot more than those with higher academic distinctions. So don't forget to mention those intangible skills which you have acquired over time. And finally, there's no harm in adding your hobbies and interests, because that again would help the employer to understand you better and to kind of know what kind of person you are beyond the job as well. Well, by following these points, I really hope that you would be able to create a really good CV for yourself and you'll be able to work for your dream company. On that note, thank you very much for watching this video. I really appreciate your time. And don't forget to share with me how did you find this video and if there's any other thing you think might be even helpful in creating a CV. Take care, and I will see you next time. Bye.